Hello, pickleballers. I'm sorry, Jim. You can just shake your head.
I didn't hear him say.
Live? Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the April 23rd meeting of the Common Council. If you'll please rise and join me in pledging allegiance to our nation's flag. And please remain standing after the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Just past week on the 15th of April, a young man who taught in the Norwalk Public School System for 25 years and who also coached the girls basketball team in Norwalk High School for 15 years, who brought them to 3 undefeated seasons and a national championship, or I'm sorry, a state championship, passed away. His family has been a noted family in the city of Norwalk for many, many years, a family that gives back to the city by volunteering and helping young people and mentoring young people, as did the young man. Young man's name is Richard Fuller, Jr., and I'd like to have a moment of silence. Thank you. Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Burnett,
President.
Mr. Goldstein, Mr. Lopez,
Present.
Ms. Najolski Eichner, Ms. Smith, here, Ms. Ayers, present, Mr. Seed,
Present.
Mr. Wiggins,
Here.
Ms. Young, here, Ms. McMurray, here, Ms. Murray, present, Ms. Dunn,
Here.
Mr. Sutton,
Present.
Mr. Frere,
Here.
Ms. Shanahan, here, Ms. Najolski Eichner, Mr. Goldstein. We have 13. We have a quorum.
13 present. We have a quorum. The first item of business, acceptance of the minutes of the meeting, the regular meeting of April 9th, 2024. Ms. Shanahan, you make the motion?
Yes.
Do we have any corrections, deletions, or omissions? Ms. Murray?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On page 11, I am making a correction for Mr. Goldstein, who couldn't be here tonight. The paragraph starts with Ms. Najolski Eichner explained, and then it is the second sentence. In addition, they were directed to go to electric or hybrid vehicles. Mr. Goldstein said, since the city advocated for electric, he would like that changed to common council. He would like that changed to common council because obviously we advocate for ourselves. We don't advocate for the whole city. And then there was on page 12, no, I missed a page. Sorry, it was page 10. It said Miss Murray said she heard constituents suggest Christmas trees build community. I would say that should say events such as the Christmas event builds community.
Any further corrections, omissions, anything to be deleted? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as corrected? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public participation.
Neb E. Please state your full name and your address. Thank you.
Yeah, it's 399 Main Avenue, Norwalk, Connecticut, 06851.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm not sure how many people here are for pickleball, but I would guess quite a few. Okay, wow. Well, I have a statement here, but obviously this is very important to a lot of people in the community. And I really just want to start off by appreciating every one of you. Took a phone call, an email from me. I know there's quite a bit. So I just like to put that out there and then I'll read my statement. Hello, Mr. Mayor and Common Council. Hope each and every one of you is doing well. I'd like to start off by expressing my appreciation for the members of this council who took the time to actively listen to the concerns of the community. I'd like to thank Mr. Lopez, Ms. McMurray, Ms. Shanahan, Ms. Smith, Ms. Murray, Mr. Wiggins, Ms. Dunn, Mr. Goldstein, and Mr. Seat for engaging meaningfully on the matter. I know I called a lot of you guys, it's a lot of emails, appreciate it. As you know, we did a survey and we received hundreds of responses from probably many of the people in this room. And 95% of people said that open play by level is very, very important to them. 80% of those surveyed said they were very satisfied or satisfied with how pickleball at Woodward Park has been played. Additionally, as you know, there's been overwhelming preference for a nominal fixed fee over hourly charges. Through our conversations with each of you, I know that you've dedicated a significant amount of time to evaluating the proposed amendments to the pilot program. I'm very confident the public will see a number of positive changes in the coming months that incorporate what people love. Open play by level and other community-based capabilities of Team Reach. As you can see, quite the community. As we enter the summer season, I'm excited to see how we can work even closer together to ensure the concerns of all stakeholders are addressed. I know that with the information that you have, the council and Parks Department will be able to make meaningful changes to put the pilot program on the right path forward. And when you have the opportunity, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to come play pickleball. There's quite a few people here that I'm sure would like to play with you. And I think you'll quickly see what makes pickleball at Woodward Park very, very special. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Alan Schur.
Alan Schur, and I live at 25 Harborview Avenue in Norwalk, around the block from Woodward. I really wanted to just thank the town and the rec department for all that they've done, and the fact that we have more pickleball capacity than almost any town in Connecticut. And Woodward has been wonderful in terms of people from town and out of town come to play at this park, and we're hoping, as the rec department kind of takes over and puts it on their system, that we can keep many of the things that we've been doing in place, and we'd like to work with Parks and Rec collaboratively to make sure that things kind of run the way everybody thinks they should run. There's one topic I just thought I want to sensitize the committee, because it's not obvious. As we work towards the new reservation system and people start reserving the court and paying for the courts, that we try to have a cutoff of 24 hours so that we don't have 50 people show up for open play, and then all of a sudden people make reservations in the last hour, and then all these people have driven down and found difficult parking, that they have to go home. And so we just thought, so the cutoff, which we've asked, is important so that the open play people can, if there are 8 courts and 4 are taken because people want to pay, that's great. We have 4 courts to hopefully organize open play, or you organize the open play. But if we get kicked off the minute that everybody shows up, it's not going to be a good situation for anybody. So the cutoff ends up being an important point, and we hope that the rec department takes that into consideration when they roll out the new system, which we're all anxiously waiting to see. Again, thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you. James, is there anybody online wishing to address the council?
We have Diane Oricella. Oh. She got cut off. Okay. There's no one.
Okay. Anybody else online? Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to address the council and has not had a chance to sign up? Want to come down and sign your name, and we'll call you in order.
Oh. Hi, Janet Suchland, Two Cider Lane, Norwalk, Connecticut. What Alan said about the reservation system is true. You know, people go down to play and then last minute somebody might reserve, but I was just wondering if there's any way Woodward Park can just stay as all open play and all the other areas are reserved so that we don't have that issue. All these people, lots of them, I never knew before until I started playing pickleball. It's a community that we've all kind of grown to really enjoy each other's company. And it seems like with this whole new system, it's going to split that up and it's going to water down what we have down there. And I was just hoping that maybe that might be something that, you know, can be addressed. I don't know if it's too late, but just a thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
State your name and address, please.
Hello, I'm Ricardo Vieira. My wife and I have lived in 7 James Street for 28 years. We've raised 2 beautiful kids that have gone from K to 12 in public schools here in Norwalk. And unlike some of my colleagues here, which I support everything they've said, I'm less excited and anxious to look at or receive the new system that you guys have. Because I started playing pickleball 7.5 months ago, and I've played 100 games every month at least. And a lot of the people that are here are the reasons why I've kept going there, because starting as a novice, I didn't even know where to stand in the court, and I've progressed through the levels a lot, in part because of the people here, Alan. And we have something really good going there. We have the team reach. We could see who's going, at what time they're playing, what levels they're playing. I sometimes work from home. I start working at 7. If at 3 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, I see people are playing at a certain level at Woodward, I go there. This picture I took with several of my friends, and I could, they're basically the same. I could leave them here for you. It rained, as you know, the past 2 or 3 days in a row. And we were out there with squeegees, the rubber rollers, with people that brought towels and their battery powered leaf blowers to get the courts dry. No kidding. And here they are. Here's a proof of us doing it just so they could play. And it's the camaraderie. And there's a system that you go there, open play, and you put your paddles in line, and everybody that has a paddle there gets to play. And you learn whether you play somebody that's more advanced or whatever it is, but everybody gets to play. So there's nobody here, and everybody here is mixed from every walk of life and everything else. And we get along super well. We have get-togethers frequently and everything else in the community. It's something that is so well done, much to the credit of Alan and some of the people that run it, that I'm afraid that, you know, if it isn't broke, please don't fix it. We're doing a great thing for Norwalk. I'm a taxpayer here. You know, we have something good. I hope it stays, and we can actually recognize it when you guys are done with it, so we could keep doing this. I don't know if I could just leave.
Thank you. One moment. James, has Miss La Rochella rejoined us?
Yes, but she hasn't raised her hand. Yeah. Lisa Fitzpatrick?
Yes, my name is Lisa Fitzpatrick. I live at 119 Gregory Boulevard, Charles Cove here in East Norwalk. And we have a saying in pickleball, it's called just one more game. And if you talk to any of the people here that are involved, you will, it's hard to pinpoint what pickleball means to a lot of people. Not only is it, it's life-changing, it's social, it's health. And I have been playing at Woodward for about 1.5 years now under the system that Alan has set up through Team Reach. And it's beautiful. It is set up with open plays that are bi-level, which works perfectly, because if any of you have played pickleball, you'll realize we make cross levels, but we like to play with people that are of similar skill. And I think if we change that to a wide open play, it's gonna ruin the specialness. And I'll also mention, nobody is left out. Every level is taken into account. And there's also the camaraderie of levels mixing and teaching others. So I would like to just say, what's been working has been perfect. So I know we might need to implement some changes, but I'd hate to see what Woodward has been doing be ruined. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Rob Corona.
Rob Corona, 597 Westport Avenue, apartment A105. I'd like to speak on behalf of Alan, Team Reach, all these folks that have done an incredible job, an inclusive job. Today, for example, we went down to play, but there were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 40 opportunities, or no, 100 opportunities for people to play from 8 a.m. to whenever it got dark. I happened to play at 10:30, which was very nice for me. But some of the proposals I really have to speak about. Open play having levels would be like Oak Hill Golf Course not having handicaps. No A, B, C, D scrambles. That's what this is. It's a handicap system. Every sport has it, and it's an integral part of this. That said, everything we do is open, and as Lisa just said, anybody can put a racket in and play. We want them to play in their correct group if they know what that is. If not, they soon will. The other thing is the time limit of 1 hour would, again, going to the Oak Hill example of saying, look, we want to get more people playing golf. So let's knock this down to 14 holes, and then we can get an extra 4 foursomes in every day. That's the equivalent of what you're telling us to do here. And the Team Reach concept that Alan has is widely accepted around the country. And we have 15 or 1,600 members. Now, maybe the point is if this is about revenue, some of those members are not from Norwalk. Do we want to charge them? Do we want to charge us? But as structured right now, you're taking a perfectly well-run machine and putting down a roadblock in front of it. Thank you.
Next is Mr. Peter Nip. James, if you'll unmute him.
Hi, thanks for giving me a chance to talk. My name is Peter Nip. I live at 50 Aiken Street, apartment 361 in Norwalk. And I've been playing pickle for about 6 months. The first time I played pickle was at Woodward Park. It was soon after I moved to town, and I was just kind of driving around the neighborhood, and I drove up to the courts, and there were a bunch of people playing, and they just invited me to play. And that's just the nature of pickleball. It's unlike most other games out there. It's an open, most games are open. They're not the private games that you might have, of a golf foursome or a tennis game. And for that, and to that end, the Team Reach plays a big role in facilitating people to get together to do that. So as you make plans to, and I haven't seen what your software looks like yet, but as you make plans for that software, I think it would be a great idea if you take a look at Team Reach and see the kinds of the types of functionality that it has, and hopefully that won't get lost in your system. Thanks.
Thank you. If you'll state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Woods. I live at 500 West Avenue, number 402, Norwalk. They say that we're having a loneliness epidemic in this country. And it seems to me that open play is just a wonderful way that people of all ages, all communities, all different areas can come together on a regular basis, at their schedule. And I think it would be a shame to not continue that. Thank you.
Thank you. James, is there anybody else online that has raised their hand? Okay, thank you. We'll close public participation. Next item on the agenda is resignations and appointments. I want to make a correction. I will be withdrawing the appointment for now of Nicole Hampton to the Fire Commission. And the next one is Howard Dixon to the Fire Commission. Do I have a motion? Ms. Smith?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I would like to move forward the appointment of Howard Dixon. Howard is well known to us here in Norwalk. He's served our country as an Air Force pilot, an intelligence officer, and he has served our country proudly. He has willingly, helped out with numerous things around here in Norwalk. And I really thank him for his willingness to also serve his city, and I very much support his appointment. It's
Any
kind of a
further-
family affair here.
Any further comments or discussion? Mr. Wiggins?
I was unaware of the withdrawal from Nicole.
We're on Mr. Dixon right now.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next is the reappointment of Oscar DeScrooge, Fire Commissioner. Do I have Ms. Smith?
Yes, I will also move that reappointment. Pastor DeStrouge is a 40-year resident of Norwalk, and as we know, is currently on the Fire Commission. He has served as a pastor of the Hispanic communities in Norwalk and Bridgeport, and we thank him for his willingness to continue serving.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is the mayor's remarks. Thank you for the moment of silence for Rick Fuller. I want to wish all our Jewish community a joyous Passover. Passover began sundown yesterday and ends next Tuesday evening. Earth Day on the Green. This Saturday is Norwalk Earth Day Festival on the Green from 12 to 4. This is a family-friendly and free event. Will feature live music, tree plantings, yoga, activities for kids, various vendors, and more. We also have an Earth Day cleanup ahead of the Festival on the Green from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Visit our Norwalk social media page to learn more about and to sign up. In honor of Earth Day, I'm also proud to announce that we have received recertification from the Arbor Day Foundation as a Tree City USA for 2023 and for the 20th consecutive year. The Arbor Day Foundation recognizes cities that demonstrate outstanding tree programs within their community. And I think we've already talked about how many trees we planted in 2023, over 500, and we wish to plant more in 2024. 2023, we also launched the new public tree planting request form, which allows residents to make requests on where the city should plant trees. So if you have an idea in and around your neighborhood where you think we need some trees, there's a form you can go online and make a request that we plant a tree there. That's all I have. I'll turn the floor over to the council president, Ms. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we get started reading the consent calendar will be council member prayers. But before we get to that, you cannot hear me. All right. Number 6, report from the Corporation Council. 6A is on consent. And then we move forward with Mr. Prayer reading the consent calendar.
Thank you. Item number 7A, Finance Committee. Accept and approve the report of the Claims Committee dated April 2024. Number 2, for informational purposes only, narrative on tax collection dated April 2024. Number 3, for information purposes only, the monthly tax collector's report dated March 2024. Number 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute the grant assignment certification SFY 2024, assigning State of Connecticut 13B 38BB Elderly and Disabled Demand Response Municipal Grant Program apportion funds to operational transportation services coordinating entity Norwalk Transit District, city match $390,000, account so noted. Number 5, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to submit an application to the state of Connecticut for grant funds provided under the state of Connecticut's Local Capital Improvement Fund for local capital improvement. $847,944.96 grant or 2024 grant. Number 6, authorize the Norwalk Public School purchasing agent to issue purchase orders in accordance with the city procurement guidelines for hardware plus FortiCare premium for an amount not to exceed $122,208.98. Account so noted. Number 7, authorize the appointment of auditors to audit the fiscal year 2024 at a fee of $103,000. Account so noted. Accounting and account so noted. Board of Ed, other professional services. Number 7B. 7C. Number 1, approve revisions to bidding and purchasing sections 19-1 and 19-2. Number 3, approve revisions to chapter 103, taxation, article 5, Board of Assessment Appeals, section 103-14. Item number 7D, Public Works. Number 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements and other instruments necessary to convey 72 plus or minus square foot temporary construction easement for purpose of installing a temporary guy anchor in Veteran Park per Connecticut DOT 102-103-176-54 compilation map dated November 2023, enclosed with the agenda for a compensation of $2,500. Number 2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement between the city of Norwalk and Exceptional Home Improvements LLC for project RD 2024-2, curbs and sidewalks for various locations for sum not to exceed $622,343.95, with an option to extend for 2 additional terms of 1 year each. Accounts so noted. Number 3, authorize the Chief of Operations and Public Works to execute orders on the contract between the City of Norwalk and Exceptional Home Improvements LLC for project RD 2024-2, curbs and sidewalks for various locations for a sum not to exceed $124,468.79. Accounts so noted. 7E, Community Services. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, or amendments with the Fairfield University as may be necessary to allow for students in the university's graduate and undergraduate programs to be placed in the Norwalk Health Department for internships and student learning opportunities. Number 2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, or amendments to the American Heart Association as may be necessary to allow the Norwalk Health Department to help distribute automatic blood pressure cuffs and educational materials at partner organizations and locations throughout the community. Number 3, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a contract with Adrian Communications in an amount not to exceed $35,000 from grant account number noted for the development and implementation of the Regional Public Health Communications Campaign. Number 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, or amendments necessary to apply for and accept the school readiness grant, which includes the quality enhancement grant for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Number 5, Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, or amendments to reappoint Family Children's Agency, Inc. to the municipal account for the elderly for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Fiscal year 25, $163,000, account so noted.
So that is the consent calendar as
That
read.
is-
Is that it, right?
That's the consent calendar.
So you heard the consent calendar as read, all in favor? That looks unanimous.
Thank you. That brings us back to 7B1, Ms. Young.
Thank you. 7B1. I think with that item, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the item.
Okay. On the agenda,
On the agenda.
all right. You want to read it first?
I'll
and
read
then,
the first one.
And then add your amendment?
So as it appears on the agenda, authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to pilot a new reservation system for outdoor tennis and pickleball court use for players who want to guarantee play on a specific court at a specific time. Registration will be through the Active Net registration and scheduling system. Reservation fees are proposed at $15 per hour for residents and $25 per hour for non-residents, only for those who want to reserve a court. Otherwise, the courts remain at no cost.
Okay, and your amendment?
And the amendment will read as follows. Authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to pilot a new reservation system for outdoor tennis and pickleball court use via the ActiveNet registration and reservation system. Proposed fees shall be $15 per 90 minutes per court for residents and $25 per 90 minutes per court for non-residents. Also, a component of the pilot program will be to develop an app modeled after Team Reach, aligning players with players of their skill level, and an open play component for both the tennis and pickleball programs.
You move that forward. You'd like to discuss it?
Yes, I'd like to discuss that. And before we do that, we have Robert Stowers,
Mhm.
who's here to speak to that.
Mr. Stowers?
And Mayor, I'd just like to say, we've had regular discussions about pickleball and all of the other sports that we provide through recreation and parks. And I have to say, you folks have a leader, and Mrs. Shanahan and so many others on this council that support pickleball within the city. And so I hope you all know that she has expressed your concerns on every level. And I hope you know that we tried to listen and do our best. But what I want everyone to realize, though, is that this is a pilot program and we're going to have lessons learned. And so there's nothing written in stone right now, but we will be making some adjustments as we go along. And we're not trying to make this difficult for anybody. We hear the enthusiasm. The first thing I was thinking when folks were talking was, how could we curb your enthusiasm? It's so great, right? But it's a good thing, and we see that, and we hear you, and we are trying to respond to your needs to make this the best pickleball community in Fairfield County, if we can do that, right? Right?
Well done.
Thank you.
Mr. Stowers, I'm sorry, Mr. Stowers.
As you may know, last year, we hired Alan Shearer to begin a pickleball program at Woodward Park. And as we evolved, many lessons were learned, and we continue to adapt and modify the pickleball program from instruction to open play and more instruction. But as you know, we are a government entity, and we have a responsibility to all people. And the components that we heard today about open play and Team Reach are good components, which we have decided to include those in our reservation system. So we heard you, and we are going to make those components a part of our reservation system. But we're going to continue to evaluate the program and it'll continue to evolve. But there's another side to this, and there's also people that maybe you guys have not experienced, but we do as government, we get complaints. And so our role is to regulate and try to protect and grant access and equity to all people, all our residents in Norwalk. So we have decided, with the help of stakeholders and also talking to council people and also talking to a group of contingency that came to us about a month ago. And when we decided that we would look into having a Team Reach like app, and we told that group that we had to study it and we were going to develop a model that the government or the city would supervise. And this has happened in several cities now that they do have Team Reach like models, and some of them even have Team Reach apps, but they supervise the app. And I think the reason why is because, as I stated, we have to protect all our citizens, and we have to hear all our citizens on the positive side and sometimes the complaints. And so we decided to develop a model like Team Reach, where the skill levels will complement one another, and it'll be much in the same model, in the same mode as it presently is. So we will be doing that. So when we met with this group, we also, and a lot of them were from Woodward, a few people, and we gave our promise that we would meet with them and continue to hear them and continue to evolve this. This is a pilot program, and it will be evaluated, and we'll develop some metrics that we will work with the Recreation and Parks Committee to measure, and so we'll have an evaluation tool in which we will measure our success. And we will come back and we'll make changes after the pilot program that are needed. This is not, the pilot program will last a year. This is not my first effort at this, of course. I'm from Seattle, where pickleball started. And so it will evolve and things will get better. But we have adopted the things that NAB and some of the others have came to us with, guided by some the council people and the constituents. And so this will include the two components that are most important to this group. So I don't have any more to say, but I'm open to questions.
Any questions for Mr. Stowers? Ms. Dunn? No, the public comment is over. This is not a question and answer period.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. This is now council business.
I know we talked in committee about that it was a pilot program. My question is, do we have any ability, I thought it was really interesting, the idea of maybe doing a 24-hour cutoff. Do we have any ability to modify during that pilot period, or does it change the data? Are there things that we could come together and maybe change more quickly, or do we have to wait a year?
Yeah, we've had some other suggestions other than the 24-hour cutoff. We've also talked about blocks of time where, you couldn't be interrupted because the next time period hadn't started yet. So if there are 90-minute blocks or 180-minute blocks, what we don't want to do is people going in and kicking people off. And so we're trying to come up with a system for that.
But we can tweak it a little bit in the process. We don't have to wait the year. So
No, we don't have to wait.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing we're studying. That would be a part of our pilot program.
Okay. Thank you.
Further comment or discussion? Ms. Smith and then Mr. Burnett.
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. And I'd also really like to thank you, Mr. Stowers, for hearing what the pickleballers are concerned about. I spoke with Neb, spoke with my neighbor Karen Pearson and her husband Frank, whom I'm sure you all know because I hear he's the king of pickleball. But as beautiful as you're, saying your experiences, what I hear, and I think, what Mr. Sowers is referring to is the possibility that some people are being left out, and we do want to create that equity. So I want to thank you for, creating the open play. I'm wondering, I do have a question, will you do something like, maybe charge like $3 per person if they're going to, sign up individually during an open play? I'm sure, that's something you're looking at.
I think in open play, it depends on how many people are playing. But the $15 is a court fee. It's not a per person fee. So if 2 people are playing, basically they're paying $7.50 a piece. If 4 people are playing, they're paying $3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that I would like to see the non-resident fee higher.
Okay.
So maybe that's something, I just have strong feelings.
Okay, I'm open to that. I mean, I like to see it higher too, so I'm good with that.
Mr. Burnett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that was somewhat in line with my question and comment in that, we appreciate non-residents coming to Norwalk and enjoying our facilities. Maybe they'll consider relocating to Norwalk. My question is, what was the thinking in terms of not increasing the fee for non-residents? I think that they're, as a resident, your taxes go towards improving our facilities, making them first class. Those that do not live in the city, I think they should carry a little higher burden as it relates to the fees so that we can maintain first class facilities for all players.
Yes, absolutely. And we did charge an additional $10 to a non-resident, so it would be 25. But I'm open to increasing that. I don't have a problem with that. So I'll take suggestions and recommendations. But
Ms.
I'm
Murray
open
and then
to
Ms.
that.
Shanahan.
Well, first, I want to echo everybody that thank you so much for your work and partnership with our council here. I also would like to thank Ms. Shanahan. My concern is I'm in East Norwalk where we have the new Ludlow pickleball courts, which look beautiful. I drove by them today. I'm so excited to play on them. But we also have Nathan Hale, which is a tennis court and pickleball mix, and I have witnessed tensions there. So I wanted, for me personally, I was in support of the comments that you made, but I also felt it was important for us to get this pilot program off the ground because as Mr. Sauer said, we have to think about how we manage the whole city and how everybody gets along. And there is some tensions there with the switch over between tennis and pickleball and making sure tennis players get their time. So my one suggestion would be an annual fee. I've seen in other towns that there is an annual fee in addition to their booking fee to use our system. So that would be, something like a $45 fee, I think is in other towns, plus then they have the $25 fee. So in line with what the other council member said about non-residents, because I mean, we can see pickleball is clearly super important to me, to all of you. And I just thank you for your work to get this done so quickly.
Thank you. Ms. Shanahan?
I just want to thank Mr. Stowers so much for being so flexible. I think this has been an amazing experience for all of us because the pickleballers did come out, made their views very well known. They worked with a lot of the council members here today to make some tweaks to it. And I just think that your flexibility, Mr. Stowers, to really quickly respond. We made a phone call yesterday and we've got an amendment on the floor today that really reflects that we're trying to hear what the needs of the pickleballers are and to make changes. And I'm sure that as this year goes by, we'll find other ways to tweak the system to make it better. But thank you so much for the flexibility.
Absolutely.
And Neb and all of you guys for doing all the hard work you did. I mean, the data that Neb pulled together in a matter of days is unbelievable. I think it's going to be a good basis for a lot of our thinking going forward. So thank you to the pickleball community. I know how great it is. I mean, I'm a player, avid player myself, and it's a great community and a wonderful game and a great way to spend time. So thank you very much. And thank you for adding courts across the city. We really appreciate it.
Mr. Wiggins and then Mr. Prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. The best part of this meeting tonight for me is that everyone came out. I think it's always a good thing when we have people showing up. So I commend you, Neb. I didn't know you, but thank you for reaching out. Yeah. But I think it's extremely important for us to, you know, this is new to me, really hearing about some of the complaints. I would definitely love to know more about the other complaints, but for the people that's here today, I hope your voices was heard and you know, we can take all the things and concerns that you guys might have into consideration. I'm really not in support of really having, you know, the fees because of the fact of, you know, I think we can leave people out to someone's point, in particularly the youth, the young people that might want to get involved. I know I'm going to start showing up, so you're going to see me soon because I need to play. But I think about, when we think about young people, if, you know, if it's becoming so popular of a sport, if we always have it booked, then what about young people that might want to show up and learn the sport, and how do we incorporate it if the space is booked, right? So I think, you know, that should definitely be something that's considered, because they might not have the resources, funds to play. And I don't know how it would look. I'm not a pickleball player, so, but I just want to keep that in mind when dealing with, you know, fees and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But when it comes for people that's out of the city of Norwalk, I think fees is important, and possibly, I know, Neb, you said this to me about the how other cities do it, and that's just like annual fees, and I don't know if that can be sustainable. I don't know if that's the good way to do it, but really just think about the whole spectrum and think about young people and people that might not have the funds to play.
Mhm.
So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can address that a little bit. We also are hiring on temporary seasonal. We're hiring instructors. So our recreation supervisor that handles family and youth programs, we will have some programs for pickleball. We're also going to start using the school gyms, and so we will have some time in instruction for young people. Also, out of Great Layton, we had a person that actually got a grant to teach some folks. I think Lisa knows about this, to teach some young kids how to play pickleball. But we will have a family and a youth program for pickleball. Most definitely.
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying something about that, Mayor, because Jody Sattler, who is the 106 taxing district, did get a grant, so they're going to be teaching pickleball before and after school, the before and after school program. So there is going to be some youth programming with the courts being at a school like that is ideal. So we're looking forward to expanding those types of programs.
Mr. Frayer and then Ms. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I met Mr. Stovers when he started about a year ago when I was on the BET, and I've been following what he's been doing for the city since I've been on the council now. And I am really excited about this. In spite of what everybody on the council thinks, I do like pickleball. And I think that I've seen him get involved in different projects with Parks and Rec. And every one of them just are absolutely astounding, and he does such a great job. He brings his experience from the West Coast to the East Coast and all around the country. So I'm just really confident that what we're going to see is probably having a city like Norwalk become probably the pickleball center of not the universe yet, but maybe Connecticut, along with being the greenest city. And I may even try it. Who knows? Thank you.
Game on.
Thank you.
Ms. Murray?
I had a question. We had spoken, I heard other people talking about, you know, putting the paddle down out, and I had some thoughts about when we got to the court, was there any way for someone to demarcate what time they would be finished or what their reservation number was? Is there any thought of how to do that? So that when somebody else arrives, they don't have to interrupt their play, because that is something, especially when there's tennis players and things, they how much longer while you're kind of in the middle of it, it can break the flow. So
Well, that's, yeah, that's kind of what, the 24-hour cutoff and
yeah.
so the blocks that we were talking about, we're trying to figure that out so we won't interrupt, play. But they will have their permit on their mobile device. It is a public facing reservation system. So they can see, whether there's a reservation there or not.
But my concern was for people who don't use the reservation system, who like show up just wanting to get free play and they're not on it,
Yeah.
We have all been in a situation where we feel the eyes and impatience on us. So I was just wondering if there was some other way to mark that this is the time we'll be leaving the court. I don't have great answers. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Miss Smith, Miss McMurray, and then Miss Smith.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. So thank you. I know we've talked and, I appreciate and respect everything that you have done for this, but in overall, so I appreciate it so much. I think in committee, I just want to clarify, you had mentioned to answer, Ms. Murray's question that we were going to have QR codes and signage posted on each court so that you can just snap a photo and see what the system looks like. So that will at least help, I think, a little bit with that, but of course we'll have to test it out. But I think this was a really great way of working and hearing the community and what their needs were and bringing an amendment to the floor. And I really appreciate that compromise. I love how passionate you guys all are. I hope you harness that passion and bring it towards the budget or the fire department that we need to renovate. Like I want to harness all of that. So please stay engaged, not just about pickleball, but other things. So thank you.
Miss Smith?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do want to make an important point, going to the fees. Something that we do here in Norwalk that no other town along the shoreline does is offer you free access to our parks. There is no, Greenwich charges $200 for a parking sticker to access there at the beach and the parks. Westport's $160. It's free for us as long as we are residents and our car taxes are paid. It's free. So I just think that that's something that, is important to just keep that perspective. That we do need revenue in some ways, to keep our. Stella.
Any further discussion? Ms. Dunn?
I'd just like to make a comment for all of you guys. I would almost like to say as a high school teacher, bring your kid to work, bring your kid to pickleball. If you can get them to leave their phones at home just for an hour to play pickleball, I would pay the $15. You have my email. Take a picture. They don't have their phones. There you go.
Ms. Young?
Lastly, I just want to say
do
that this is one of the reasons why I continue to chair and stay on Recreation and Parks is because of Mr. Stowers. We have a real asset in him. And he brings so much knowledge and experience from Seattle. And I think we are the beneficiaries of that. But what I hope that you really get from this is that we're listening. And we're trying to make this the best that we can do. There are going to be kinks and things we've got to work out, but we are listening. And I hope that you all feel that and hear that. And hopefully we just move on and have a smooth pickleball community. In Norwalk. So thank you. And thank you, Mr. Stowers. And thank you to everybody on Recreation and Parks and for your input and being so proactive in this.
I suspect that Mr. Stowers is going to come into my office tomorrow
Looking
and
for
ask for a raise.
Yeah, I believe Miss Valadares is on and would like to speak.
Oh,
She's still there?
Okay.
no, I don't. Is she there?
Oh, he's there. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
Can you unmute her, James?
Thank you. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. And thanks for the opportunity for us to be able to present on the floor the change of what we have passed to the Recs and Parks Committee last week. I just want to add that, again, we are very supportive of pickleball. There has been numerous meetings between staff, Rob, the group that is there, and also Ken Hughes. And we do appreciate all the comments that we receive. Again, our goal is to always improve what we can do. And after hearing all the comments, You guys have our word that as soon as we see that few things can get better, we're gonna make it better. And we are always open to any suggestions or criticisms. Our office is always open for that, and our goal, again, is to make it fair, accessible, and good for everyone. Also, I just wanna let you guys know that hopefully in 2 weeks, we're gonna have 17 new courts done here in Norwalk. We'll have 4 at Ludlow, 5 at the senior center, and 8 at Rowayton School. So that is really the main reason why we should have a pilot program established before we can grow even more. So I appreciate everyone's comments and dedication. And again, we're always available to discuss this further. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or discussion? Seeing none, I think the proper thing to do would be first to vote on Ms. Young's amendment and then vote on the package. So all in favor of Ms. Young's amendment? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Now to vote on the item 7B1 as amended. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stowers. Next is item 7C2, I believe, Ms. Shanahan.
That's right. So, with your indulgence, Mr. Mayor, we would like to move this following motion: approve revisions to chapter 63, Law Department, section 63(1) through 63(7). And I believe that Mr. Candela is in the participant group. And I don't blame people for leaving. This is the boring part of council. So can you raise Mr. Candela to a panelist? Yeah, we'll wait for that, but I just wanted to.
Oh, here he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Candela,
So
Yes.
yep, there he is.
we'll give it one little second. Yep. So if we could unmute Mr. Candela so he could speak to this item, that would be great. This is just a very technical change to this law ordinance. And there's also going to be an amendment to this change because we found one thing we'd like to fix.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks, Brian.
Yes. So as part of following charter revision,
Yes.
we decided to look at some areas that needed to be updated, and one of them was chapter 63, the law department. As you can see from the red line changes, there was, well, I don't know if you can see the red line changes. There were minor changes that were made throughout the ordinance. Mostly were capitalizations or cutting out some words here or there. In the midst of making those amendments, there was there was some removal of language in section 63-3B, which concerns the Deputy Corporation Counsel. I'll read the language as it currently exists in the ordinance, which is in effect right now. There shall be one Deputy Corporation Counsel who will be a full-time permanent employee of the City of Norwalk, and he shall be subject to removal from office only for just cause. During the process of working on the ordinance, we mistakenly removed the following language from 63B, 63-3B, excuse me. And they shall be subject to removal from office only for just cause. The Deputy Corporation Counsel the position itself is independent and is serving the needs of the city. And that office needs to be able to provide unfiltered legal advice. So the language that we had mistakenly removed, it's my recommendation that it be put back in because it's been the history of this position from its inception that the Deputy Corporation Counsel was a full-time permanent employee, which is currently still there in our language. But it's also subject to removal only from office for just cause. And so that's the additional language that I'm seeking to put back in so that it's proper.
So what we want to do, Mayor, is make an amendment to what's on the
So if you want to make that amendment.
yeah, so I'd like to make an amendment that we include the language that Mr. Candela just wrote for 63-3 B, which would be the words, "and they shall be subject to removal from office only for just cause." And then we'll vote on the full changes.
So all in favor of the amendment to item 7C2? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carry, Ms. Dunn abstains?
Great.
Now, all in favor of the motion as amended? Opposed? Abstains? Ms. Dunn abstains. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Next
very much.
item, I think that brings us to Ms. Ayers for item 7E6, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Railing, to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, or amendments as may be necessary with the Open Door Shelter located at 4 Merritt Street, Norwalk, Connecticut, 06854, in the amount of $92,000 to provide shelter service for persons experiencing homelessness for Norwalk residents beginning June 1, 2024 to May 30th, 2025, account noted. I would like to speak to this item as Chief Daniels, the Chief of Community Service, as well as the Executive Director for Open Doors. Michelle is here to answer any additional questions. As we are quickly ending our budget season, many of my colleagues have took the opportunity to express on this floor the need to keep Norwalk residents in Norwalk. This authorization allows us to keep Norwalk residents in Norwalk. And I think it is prudent for us to understand that the work of homelessness and the work of housing is not one note. It often has many notes and it often fluctuates. We think our partnership with Open Doors to really be able to have beds for those people who want to reside in Norwalk. My understanding of the system as it is now, if you call 211 or any of the navigators, they put your name in the system and it's whatever bed is open in our region. And that bed does not necessarily have to be in Norwalk, even though you're a Norwalk resident or calling from Norwalk. And this $92,000, we know it does not solve all of our problems, but it is a start to allow us to continue to support our residents. I do not know if the chief or the executive director.
Reno and Mr.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I do just want to just share a couple of things and thank you, Chair Ayers, who eloquently shared some of the thoughts. But again, just want to reiterate and elevate and also thank the mayor for his support when we wanted to redirect the funding. You're really specifying how we want to use it. So we recognize the ongoing challenge of homelessness within our community. The city of Norwalk is committed to providing support and assistance to those in need. Building upon this commitment, we have undertaken significant initiatives over the past several years, including the relaunching of our social services grants, now known as the Community Impact Grant Program. This program aims to address the specific needs of individuals experiencing homelessness by directing resources directly to the homeless shelter here in our city. As you know, Open Door is the only shelter in Norwalk, but under the regional network, as Councilperson Chair said, they serve surrounding communities as well. By empowering the mayor tonight to execute this agreement through the Community Services Department, we can affirm our commitment to ensuring that our most vulnerable members of our community have access to safe and stable shelter facilities. These funds will be allocated solely to support the Open Door Shelter's mission of providing tailored shelter services and housing solutions to Norwalk residents. While this funding allocation is not a solution, again, as council shared, to ending homelessness, it serves as a vital resource to keep Norwalk residents within Norwalk when they are faced with homelessness. This funding allocation helps maintain stability and connection for Norwalk residents during times of housing insecurity and through supporting the well-being with dignity in our community. As council shared, I am joined by Executive Director Michelle Condorino for any specific questions that she can speak to, not me, on the actual activities from the Open Door. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Ms. Condorino?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Common Council members, Chief Daniels. Open Doors recently celebrated 40 years of service to this community. And we're so proud to do that and to work with the city. I think sometimes I embarrass the mayor when I just thank him so much, because I've worked in communities in which the city and the homeless service system did not work in sync. And it is really challenging. And unfortunately, the people who suffer most are the people who are experiencing homelessness. And so to work together as we have for so many years to address this issue, I think is just a wonderful commitment to this community. And we would like to just continue doing so. It's getting challenging and it's getting expensive. I think shelter's one of the most expensive lines of service an agency can have because of the 24/7 nature of the program and the intensive level of service it requires. And so support from the city would be greatly appreciated.
I think Thursday night is your gala, no?
Thursday nights, yeah.
You haven't got your tickets yet. Ms. McMurray?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions. I just want to say great work
Thank you.
to the committee, to Chief Daniels, to you, Michelle, and everybody who works at Open Doors. I think it's a fabulous organization and I enjoy so much visiting and helping in a small way that I can. This may seem like a small piece of our budget, and it is in the grand scheme of things, but it's going to make a huge difference in the life of so many people. And this is the work that makes me really proud to sit in this seat. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Comments or discussion? Ms. Smith?
Yes, I'd like to add on to Ms. McMurray's comments, and thank you so much, Michelle, for your very fine leadership at Open Doors. You do such a terrific job. Chief Daniels, for your vision and leadership of the Community Services Department, and the forethought to move these funds to make this happen. Ms. Ayers for highlighting the importance of this. I cannot imagine what it must be like to suddenly experience homelessness and then have to be forced out of your own community. So this is really important for our own residents. So thank you so much.
Mr. Wiggins?
Just to echo Barbara, Ms. Smith, I'm councilman, so I'm learning, please. But I think it's extremely important for residents to be able to stay in a city that they lived for a while, or maybe not live, but want to be in. So I commend you both, and I know I mentioned this in the committee meeting, but I think this is extremely important, and I think we should find other ways to support this in a more meaningful way. I think 92 is not much, but right? It's so much more we can do, and so much more resource that we need to kind of support this initiative. So I'm in support of raising more to kind of see how this initiative can flourish and keep the people in the community. So,
Mr. Burnett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question, I guess I'll direct to Chief Daniels, which is more procedural, which is, I see this money is allocated through May of 2025. What happens beyond that? How do we sustain this effort?
Right, so for those that recall, there was an allocation through the BET ad hoc social service grant, so that funding has now been moved to me. So I will be asking the Common Council to continue this funding. We were approved for July 1. This funding came a little late because we were all waiting to see what's going to happen from a budgetary perspective. But after, for the follow next year, we will have the funding to support this. And as to Mr. Wiggins said in committee, I will be recommending, can we now allocate this particular line item in my budget, directing it to this need, because I believe the need will continue.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Ms. Dunn?
I just have a question. I know when we have like housing instability or as the disaster recovery person for that class, when there's a fire or something, I know I usually call Bill Mooney and I know we have money in the budget from the health department. Do they coordinate? Do you do different periods in the process? How does that work?
So that's a different line item. That particular funding is allocated through state statute.
Okay.
That when there are emergencies, that activates a separate set of money, but for homeless, for other variety of reasons, we're using our state, our local funding with operational budget to do that. We're still using operational budget, but that is more state statute that we have to.
So I know we often put them up, it puts them up in a hotel for a month or so. Are they able to transition if they can't find housing to Open Doors? Is that something that you do?
Well, right, we look at all resources. You can speak that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just want
No,
to picture of what goes
It's,
on.
it's actually a really good question because there's a lot of confusion about the distinction between the two. And I think, through that initial period, hopefully there's some stabilization. If there isn't,
Yeah.
yes, then they would probably enter the homeless service system and can be sheltered at Open Doors.
Further comments or discussion? Just a comment from me, and thank you, Ms. Condorino and Mr. Daniels. The Open Doors has become so much more than just a bed. It provides job skills training, it provides food and healthcare training, so much more, and it's taken on a whole new level under your leadership, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
So Mayor, now that you said that.
You go right ahead.
Because I hesitated to say something because I live not far from the shelter and I drive that way every day. And I have to just say to you, Michelle, thank you. And we see the improvements that have gone on under your leadership. And you've done things to help those most in need in the community. And it doesn't look good or feel good when we see people that are on the street that need help and need assistance. But I have to thank you and your team and your leadership, your board, for the work that you've done and hope to continue to do to empower people and help people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I would just like to say thank you for calling out the team at Open Doors because it is an amazing group of people who are very dedicated to this community thriving and the people who live here thriving and being able to stay here. That's a huge component of Open Doors is the ability for people to be able to stay despite really challenging financial circumstances right now.
Thank you. Having said that, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
No debate?
No debate.
We are adjourned at 8:44 p.m.